Hey guys, I'm just sitting out enjoying the sun and I wrote this poem. I'm going to read it and I think it will resonate with some people. No, actually I know it will. Been out there talking to people and people really do hear what I'm trying to say and it's inspiring people, and that's what this is all about. Sorry about the sun, but I'm not going back in to record this. It's too nice out. Right, so here we go. Sometimes, unfortunately, you don't get to choose. You get backed into a corner with nothing to lose. When the world has ignored you and treated you like shit, and you have decided to not tolerate it. When all you have wanted is to bring your soul light, but you encountered the darkest and deepest fight. When you stand in your power and you do it alone, you understand that this chaos will bring you the throne. When you've seen the worst the world has to give, and still decided it was love that you wanted to give. The roar of the lion in human form, breaking out of the traps and risking it all. Not seeing the path, but choosing to walk, standing behind the things that you talk. And to fight for yourself and do it at all costs, that's never a battle that you've ever lost. No matter the outcome or where you end up, sometimes you just gotta jump because you've had enough. So I wrote that really about when you're in a situation and you just feel like every single odds are stacked against you. But you have this inner knowing and this voice that's telling you that somehow it's going to work out. And you choose to walk in that and you choose to believe that because you know it's the truth. And I just think it's a fate thing, you know. Some of the things that I have gone through, this is the truth. I sometimes sit in my house, particularly at night this will happen, and I go over these things, you know, and I think about the journey that I've been on, and I laugh. I laugh because it's incredible and it's unbelievable. And I think back to some of the things and they're funny. I think back to some of the things, they were terrifying. But I shouldn't be sitting here. This is just the truth. I shouldn't be sitting here, and I want to give every bit of glory for the fact that I'm sitting here breathing, alive, healthy and mentally well. Every bit of glory of that goes to God. And it talks about this, you know, in the Bible, about God will restore all of the things that were taken, but it's in your obedience that God will do that. So I've had to make some difficult choices based off of not things that I've really done, things that other people have done, you know, to me, thinking that if they put me in a state of isolation or if people didn't talk to me and all this kind of stuff, that I would probably kill myself. But that's not what happened, because I like being on my own and I learn when I'm on my own, and it has put me into this, you know, like I went through a situation in my job a few years ago where I fell and injured my back, and it was a very, very genuine situation. It wasn't something that was, you know, manufactured or invented. It was real. And I was on methadone at the time, and I couldn't sue them properly for the injury I received because I was on methadone, which, yeah, it triggered a huge traumatic event in my life. It made me question everything. It made me feel completely unheard, unsupported, lied to. It made me feel targeted. It made me feel loads of things, but it also made me look at our system. And you know, when you give your services and your complete care to people and you just get disregarded, you're so replaceable to these places, you know. And I was very, very sick for a number of years, very, very sick, over this fall. And what happened was it sent me into a state of complete isolation, depression, financial ruin, so many other things, and I ended up relapsing. In the relapse, I discovered so many other things. I tried to get help, I just couldn't get the help, and I started to realise in the midst of all of this stuff that was happening to me that people just didn't care. And I really started to see that, and at first it would affect me, you know. I would be upset, I would be angry, I would be sad, all of these things. And then I started to realise well, if nobody cares about me, fuck them. And I started to see a different way, and I started to think, you know what, I'm just going to float around and see what happens. And I know that to some people, you know, I sit out my door a lot. I sit in the park a lot. I meditate a lot. I don't take life too seriously. I love my family, but I don't beg them to be in my life. Like my kids, I love them. I don't talk to my family because of what they did to me, and I have every right to make that decision. So I might look like, people might be thinking, like, why does she not get a job? Why does she not do this? Why does she not do that? I will not work for anybody who's going to treat me like I'm a commodity. I'm just not going to do it. Does that mean that I never work again? Of course it won't. If I got the right opportunity, that would be a game changer. But I refuse to be, I refuse to go into this world and go to work, right? Pay most of your money, half your money in tax, struggle, never get out in the sun, never go outside. Your whole days are spent in an office or in a building or somewhere. You want to buy a house to leave to your family, and then if you fall and work like I did, now I don't own a house, thankfully I didn't own a house, thankfully I didn't have any loans, thankfully I didn't have any cars out on HP or anything like that, because I would have been fucked. But it made me realise that chasing, you know, wanting, and there's nothing wrong with this, if this is what people want, and that's fine, that's what people want, it's just not what I want. To go back to work, imagine going back to work for me, you know, and you're doing your job and something like that was to happen again, and you have a mortgage and you've no way of paying it, you're going to end up homeless. And this is the reality that I see. I watched, you know, my ma going through something similar to this, you know. She never wanted to own anything. She was very free-spirited. Yeah, she was crazy and she was very difficult to live with. She was quite violent and stuff. But I knew, and seeing the deeper person, you know, I seen into her, and that's not who she really was, and I understood that from a very young age. I actually understood that. But look, I'm not explaining myself. I don't have to explain myself to anybody, but I want to, because I think that a lot of people misunderstand me and think that, oh, she's just lazy, she doesn't want to get a job, she doesn't care about anybody. When you've been through the type of things that I've been through, it's not that I don't care about anybody. People check themselves off the list by the way they behave towards me. It's not, and I made a few mistakes when I was in addiction, but a lot of people let me down. A lot of people gave me bad information, bad advice. A lot of people tried to keep me stuck. Whether they did it knowingly or unknowingly, it doesn't really matter. The point that I'm trying to make is that I'm at a stage in my life where so much has happened to me that I am just grateful for the miracle of being alive. I'm grateful for the miracle of being healthy. I'm grateful for the miracle of clarity of mind. I have somewhere to live. Is it everything? No, it's not everything. It's just a fucking house. No matter where I go, I'll be okay, because I am home. I am my home. This poem is a direct, you know, creative reflection of how I have gotten to this point, and I wanted to just share a little bit about that. You know, it's very, very sad that when you've been so let down by people who are there to support you and care for you, that you just completely lose trust in their system. And it's very sad that that has to happen, because these are the places that you really should trust. And it's utterly, it changes you as a person. It changes how you see the world. And I'm not going to be sorry for how I live my life. This is how I choose to live my life. I'm not doing anybody any harm, and people are just going to have to get over and accept it. This is the way I want to live my life. It's not conventional, and it's not like everybody else does, but I'm not everybody else. Everybody is different and everybody is individual, and it's so important to find what makes you happy and what brings you peace, and to not engage in anything that robs you of that. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to people, and I'm not judging anybody. Everyone do you do you do what makes you happy, but I'm going to do what makes me happy.